Another teacher talks tonight. Tonight we are going to have our 71st session. I'm so excited about it. And also today, we are also celebrating the World Teachers Day. Happy World Teachers Day to everybody, all the teachers actually. And I would like to start the session with a really nice quote by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk because of the World Teachers Day. A good teacher is like a candle and it consumes itself to light the way for others, by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. I would like to start with this quote, which is really, I like it. Alright, tonight we are going to have another very special educator from different parts of the world. Tonight we are going to go to Brazil. Yes, we are going to, our guest is going to be from Brazil, and she is an English teacher and linguistic expert and TOEFL and IELTS prep tutor, Milena Mignossi Ferreira from Brazil. When she comes, we are going to start our live session with her, or let me invite her. Yes, there she is. Hello.
Hello.
It's great to see you, Milena. It's wonderful.
It's great to be here. Thank you
Yes.
for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I would like to say thank you very much one more time to accept my invitation, Milena, to talk, to be my guest for Teacher Talks. And by the way, no, actually, we had this program yesterday, as you know that, but because of the
Yes.
worldwide technical problem by Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, so we postponed it tonight. And I'm really happy that we can make it tonight. Thank you very much one more time about it.
Thank you for this opportunity to share in my experience with people from all over the world. This is amazing. Thank you one
Thank you
more
very much
time.
one more time. And as we know that today is a World Teachers Day, and it's a very important day
Indeed.
for all the teachers all around the world. And I have already said something about World Teachers Day before I invited you here, but maybe you would like to say something before we starting our session.
Well, first of all, thank you all the educators, all the teachers around the world for their job, which is such an important job. I believe it's the most important of all. We open doors for possibilities, opportunities, and sometimes people just don't seem to appreciate teachers and the education system as much. So thank you, teachers and educators, because you matter, you are important, and you are reason that we are always motivating ourselves to be better.
Thank you very much, Milana, for this nice sentences about World Teachers Day. All right then, I know that we are all busy, and I would like to start it quickly before having another worldwide problem about Instagram or anyway,
Possibility, always
Facebook.
a possibility
Yeah,
these
there is
days.
always possibility. All right then. So I know about you, Milana, but our listeners or our guests maybe would like to know about you. So can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences too?
Well, I'm 36 years old. I have been an educator and English teacher here in Brazil for almost 22 years already. I started pretty young. And I have worked as educator, coordinator in most bilingual and language schools. Now I work most of my time with private students, and I help teachers perform their linguistic levels, enhance their linguistic levels for the bilingual education system, because it's changing here in Brazil now. We are right now in the midst of something really wild going on. So I'm prepping teachers for the new changes that are coming this way. And I work with English students as well as a private tutor and a private teacher.
I see. Thank you very much, Milena, for about information about you. All right. So would you like to add anything else, or can I move to other question?
Feel free, go ahead.
All right then. So I know that you have a very good experience about teaching, but What about your own teaching? What was your or were your turning point or points in your own education?
I believe there were two moments that they really shifted the way I saw and I see education. It was I lived in the United States for 2 years, and while I was there, I did my TESOL certification, and those classes they gave me a perception of education, especially when it comes to language, because I had the opportunity to take that certification with teachers from different countries and different cultures from mine. And when I say different, I mean really, really different. It was like a real mixed group. So at that moment, I learned how the cultural aspect can shift and can help or damage the way we see languages, and of course the way that we as teachers perceive the student, the way we think they are learning versus the way they are indeed learning, because most of the times we project ourselves onto them. Oh, they will not be able to do this, are you sure? Or you think they can't, you think. So the questionings that came to me during that certification, they shifted the way I see, the way I prepare my classes, the way I prepare teachers, the way I prepare syllabuses and curriculums for schools. It opened my mind to the way, and until this day and up to this point, I keep up studying neuroscience, because the brain is one of the things that it's one of my hobbies, to study neuroscience. I love understanding how knowledge, the pathways of knowledge. And while I took my master's degree in bilingual education and linguistics, I also I had the opportunity to see the difficulties that teachers have in terms of their own country's regulations and educational processes when they are trying to implement a bilingual system in their countries, in their schools, in their cities. The way that most people don't understand, or the way that most people have like some sort of prejudice. Oh, it's going to damage the mother tongue. Oh, they are going to lose this or that. The conceptions and misconceptions that I myself had, and had to find new ways to work and renew the way and reinvent the way I was working with those levels of education. So those two courses, those two moments in my education, they were exceptionally important to me.
I see, I understand. Thank you very much, Milena. There's really important points that you mentioned here about yourself, of course. Thank you for sharing that moment with us. And my next question is very, I think it's about your teaching. It's really something about teaching. So what is your philosophy of teaching?
Everyone is able to learn everything and anything. I work especially with students with dyslexia and ADHD. My master's degree thesis was bilingual education for these students. And one of the things that I realize is that as soon as a child, especially children, when they receive a label or a diagnosis of dyslexia, dysgraphia, or anything else, the immediate thought that comes to the school or the parents or the teachers, that child, that person is not going to be able to learn.
I see.
They will. Everyone learns everything and anything. We just have to understand how the learning process happened to that particular person.
I see.
And this is something that makes me dig into the neuroscience and the learning pathways, because that's how we are going to understand how do you learn is different from the way that I learn. We are two different people with two different historical and formation backgrounds. So the way you learn, you may be a student that likes to listen more or write more. It's about teachers being curious. I think that's the point of it all. It's about being curious regarding your students' learning pathways. And it's something that I take into like really seriously in my development.
I see. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Milena.
Sure.
Okay. And I know that you are experienced about bilingual teaching, if I'm not
Yep.
wrong. So I would like to ask a question about it. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of bilingual education and in when you think about the language, of course?
Bilingual education, as I perceive it, as I see it, in terms of advantages, it brings the best of two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to learn a content, and you are going to be learning a language altogether. That are The science has proven that our brain advantages. We grow brain cells when we speak two, three more languages, when we work with two, three languages at the same time, when we are older in terms of Alzheimer's prevention, work with languages is
Mm-hmm.
always awesome. I don't see and a disadvantage. What I see are challenges for bilingual education. Here in Brazil, we have many problems in terms of bilingual
I see.
education because up until 2 years ago, we didn't have a specific denominator. What is bilingual education?
Mm-hmm.
Any school could decide if they were bilingual or not.
I see.
And we didn't have a specific teachers formation for that purpose. So most of the schools, they were offering English classes, regular English as a second language, English as a foreign language classes, which is totally different from bilingual education. Bilingual education gives children and teenagers the opportunity to explore in terms of deeper understanding of the language, because we go for the academic part
I
of it
see.
to understand physics, chemistry, math, whatever is the topic or the subject that the school is working with. So it's the best of both worlds. And for the long run, it's all advantages. The disadvantage or the challenges
I
is
see.
that it's for the teachers, because I see it's at a double work for teachers.
Yeah, definitely.
It's most of the times. And of course, the school has to understand that to be a bilingual school is way more than just offering an extra English classes in the curriculum. So challenges are more than, I don't see disadvantages at
I
all in
see. Of
having
course, of
bilingual
course.
systems working.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't disadvantages. There are challenges, of course, but I think that everything that is really, really good for the long run is going to bring challenges whatsoever. So it's part of the job, right?
I see. I understand. Yeah, it's really difficult to give that education. I can understand. It's not easy. Thank you very much for the
No.
and I know that I just wanted to ask these questions because I know that you are experienced about bilingual education. That's why. And maybe if I ask in disadvantages, I just wanted to ask in that way. But you have already mentioned that you didn't see that any disadvantage. All right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And let's move to another question. Thank you very much about it. So, as we know that, because of pandemic, we have been doing, actually, we have already, they have the online courses for a long time before the pandemic started. We have already have the distance education or online education, but after the pandemic, it becomes more and more, the popular, and they push us to do this. So, what about, actually, what do you think about online or distance education? And I also wonder another thing, what was the reaction of the Brazil education system for this pandemic time?
Well, let's understand something about Brazil first. Things here they are complicated in terms of education because I'm going to just paint a very brief portrait so you guys
Mm-hmm.
can understand this. We have the private system and we have the public system, and there is an abyss between those two. Those are two completely different worlds,
Mm-hmm.
two worlds apart. Before the pandemic, we had it was like something that was on the verge of becoming big, these online courses. We
Mm-hmm.
had the courses for teachers, we had extra, everything that was done online
I see.
was designed for adults or something extra. It was not for everybody, as out of the blue it had to become because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So the first reaction here was the worst possible, because we had some scenarios where children didn't have access to the internet, they
I
didn't have
see.
computers, they didn't have cell phones, the parents didn't know how to operate those, they didn't have, some teachers, they didn't have the training or the expertise to move their classes to an online platform because they were used to regular classrooms, the
I see.
board, the chalk, the pens. Those were the means of instruction
Mm-hmm.
for most teachers, especially in the public system. And from here we started on a Monday. We had the first week of a lockdown, and the next week everything moved, shifted to the online system. The first thing that happened, our internet system broke because everybody was online. So our internet companies here, they started having problems with that.
I see.
So for teachers, it was the most difficult moment for most of them because they didn't have knowledge, they didn't have expertise. They students did, despite the fact that we have a technological
Uh-huh.
era of
I see.
teenagers, they don't know how to set up an email. And I was like, what? You can play 1,000 games and you don't know how to set up an email.
It's
And then
rare
we
now.
we it is. It was so much more than that. Of course, that now, this year, things are completely different. But from in the beginning, we had like 3-4 months of total chaos because we didn't know what to do. Most schools, the public system took almost 3 to 4 months to
Oh,
start delivering the classes.
I
So
see.
last year for most students were like a lost year. They didn't learn most of what they
Mm-hmm.
were supposed. So the situation now is we are trying to make amends for what was lost last year. Most bilingual schools last year, they didn't have it as a bilingual
I
system.
see.
They kept on going with the French classes, Italian classes, English classes, but not as a bilingual system because the teachers did not have the training or the expertise to shift, to prepare a CLIL lesson, for example, totally online. Universities here in Brazil, they don't prepare teachers for bilingual education. We don't have, up to this moment,
I
as I told
see.
you, the law is changing now, but we didn't have a specific training for bilingual educators. We
I
didn't
see.
have a specific preparation for what is a CLIL lesson, what are the other possibilities, what
Mm-hmm.
is the material, what is the curriculum in terms of, you know, and then we have a large group of teachers that are against, like the geography teacher, the chemistry teacher. They don't understand the system, so they're like, this is going to damage the knowledge. They're not going to learn geography or the language. So we are like a rowing boat at the moment, trying to figure it out. But next year on, the law is bringing new changes, and we are adapting everything to this hybrid moment because it's optional to
I
go to
see.
school now here. They can attend classes online or they can go to school
Uh-huh.
because it's not like 100% of the population that is vaccinated over here. So until the end of the year, everything is optional. It's hybrid. So the schools needed to transmit everything online for students who are
I
attending classes
see.
at
Mm-hmm.
home and for those who are going to school. Of course, most children want to go back to school. They are tired of online classes. They like to stay online, but not for classes, of course. They like to be playing games and on Facebook. They are
It's
tired
definitely
of
true.
seeing the teachers through a screen. And especially in terms of bilingual education, if they started if
Uh-huh.
they started the connections with the teachers, they needed to have this more particular one-on-one moment. It's always important.
I understand. Thank you very much for this brief and great explanation about what's going on in Brazil. I was really wondering about it, and now we have the lots of knowledge about it. Thank you.
How chaotic, chaotic.
Don't worry, it's same here also. All right, so there is a question, by the way, Milena.
Sure.
Azra is asking, can you see it? how easily we can make aware teachers and learners of soft skills balanced with professional development to reach academic changes and adaptable according to their needs.
Soft skills balance with professional development. Well, that it's all about assessment. First of all, I don't know how it happens in your part of the world. I believe that you guys are way more advanced in terms of assessment that we are here. It's something that I'm always arguing about. You have to know where we are, where you are in your level and where your students are. Most of the times when we talk about beaks and kelps, the iceberg metaphor, most of the times we are focused on the tip of the iceberg, the language that we use on a regular basis, the language that we use to order the hot dog, order the pizza, to read briefly the news on our Facebook feed. And then you have deep down, and that deep down language, what we can't see is the academic language of that. The bilingual education itself is going to get there because you cannot have a chemistry class without using the proper nouns, the proper names, the proper labels for everything, just like physics and biology and history and so on. So the combination part of the top with what we cannot see, it starts in the where you are, in terms of you are a B1 student, you have the level of a B1 student, but your B1 is just a soft skill, or you have a B1 academic level as well. And as a teacher, you can balance both.
I see.
I have used it with my students up to this year particularly, because I realized that after 6 months after 1 year and a half of classes using the same book collection, they get very used to the book. They predict everything that is going to happen in the book. That's not bad at all, because it gives them some sort of comfort zone, and the comfort zone makes them feel I'm learning. But the problem is, if you bring in a different text, if you bring in a podcast, if you bring in a movie with an accent of an Irish guy speaking English at a bar, they cry, they complain. So what I started doing, I keep following the book from the methodology that I decide for that student, but I start bringing in IELTS and TOEFL materials and materials from universities for once in a while, changing the course of the class. So I remove the prediction part, and I can go for the academic part in a way that they don't realize what we are doing. Oh, but they are going to apply, they are going to take an exam. No, they are not going to, these students in particular. But they see the challenge and they like it. The listenings are different for an IELTS and a TOEFL exam. The essays you were supposed to write, the texts you read, and you can develop different skills. So the combination goes as soon as you understand where your student is and where you are as a teacher, because sometimes we as teachers get stuck in a level for a very long time because we teach the same level of students for a long time. If you teach children for 10 years, your English is for children. And if you don't interact with advanced level teachers, educators, if you don't go up, you have the same level as your children. It's normal because you just use English for that specific purpose. So the idea, I think, as a teacher, if you want your academic goals to move up, is going forward with the teachers that are higher than you, working with them, learning from them, check techniques with them. With this, it's looking for partners. We are not alone. We can do anything alone, right? So find new partners, people to talk to study with, and of course, take an exam. You know, I tell I'm studying French. I study French right now. I am, and as a challenge for myself, I decided I'm taking the exam of the French. Of the French Aliança Francesa, it's called, to test my level of French. But because if I don't put a straightforward goal for me, I'm just going to be like my students. let's see what happens. Because we are just like them. We are just like our students.
I see. I got it. It's very. By the way, the answer I think is marvelous. Thank you very much for the answer, and I think Azra got the answer from you, Milena. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Any more doubts? We are here.
Thank you. All right, so let's move another the question. This is also your interested area. I know that you are all IELTS and TOEFL expert and your teachers. So, what are the benefits of IELTS and TOEFL?
For teachers, I always tell the teachers that I'm preparing that you need to step up your game. It's not about the exam itself, but the process of studying for an IELTS, the process of studying for a TOEFL, it's going to show you strategies, techniques, and things that you have never seen before, and you would probably never see in other circumstances. Even if you are not planning to take the exam itself, here in Brazil, these exams are extremely expensive, so it requires a lot of planning to work with them, to pay for them. Prepare for the exam. Imagine you are taking the exam. You are going to, especially IELTS, because that's my personal opinion. I believe IELTS is more complex and more difficult than TOEFL in terms of academic language and in terms of what we can call formality of the language, usage of the language, and synonym. You really need to understand the language if you want to have a band 9 score in an IELTS. You are going to be very proficient in the language to get a band 9. So preparing for those will provide you with techniques, with strategies. You are going to meet different teachers to practice with, to exchange strategies. And of course, you can become a prep tutor. You can become an IELTS tutor, a TOEFL tutor, and teaching people IELTS and TOEFL. It's another challenge. It's a big one. My IELTS and TOEFL students are my most demanding students.
I see.
Because speaking and writing, it's one-on-one. It's everything together with them. It's bit by bit. It's part by part. It's grammar. You are going to see advanced grammar in levels that you have never seen before. So for teachers, it's a great experience. And for students, it's about the academic language, the academic growth of your skills.
I see.
Even the students that are not applying, I make them work with the IELTS and the TOEFL writing sessions because those are very good essays to work with. You work with math concepts because you have to analyze the graphs and charts, and you have to provide opinions. So they are very well-structured ways of putting them to write and self-correcting. Can you correct your composition? Take a look at your verb tense here. What's the problem here? Do you understand why? So I believe that that's the point where IELTS and TOEFL comes to aid students and teachers, as far as I can see with my experience with them.
I see. Thank you very much for this great explanation about IELTS and TOEFL. Thank you, Milena. And so let's move another question. Okay, so I'm sure that most of the time or teachers or I don't know students, they come to you and ask you, Milena teacher, can you tell us about a good teaching experiences in your career? But this time I'm going to ask you vice versa. Can you tell us one of your bad teaching experiences in your career?
Well, I have a few because teaching people is always a challenge, right? But one of the, I believe it was bad, but it was also very funny. 3 years ago, I was living in another city. I was a private teacher as well, and I used to drive to my students' houses. I would go to their houses to teach them. And one evening, I arrived, parked my car, get out, buzzed the phone, the student let me in. I was walking towards the door. When I opened the door, this glass container flew through the door and like passed by my head, removed my earring and landed on the sidewalk. The
Wow.
couple I was supposed to be teaching, they were having a fight in the
Wow.
living room, and the woman had tossed like this glass container of food at him, and he like waved,
Wow.
and I opened the door and the thing came right, and I was like, okay. You know, when
So,
it takes you like a couple of seconds to what the heck is going on. I was reaching the door to close it, and she was like, no, 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 teacher, you have to understand what is going on. And she dragged me inside the house, and I had to watch them fight for about like 15 minutes before I could actually leave the house. So it's not all flowers in terms of teaching, but at least that I say it was fun because it was, of course, watching people fight in the middle of your class is not your personal agenda in those terms. And there's always bad experiences with some parents.
I
They
see.
give a very negative feedback once in a while because they don't see the things they
Mm-hmm.
want to see.
I
It's
see.
like, oh, my son has studied with you for a year and he is not fluent in the language. And I was like, 1 year? We speak Portuguese for 30 years and we still have problems with the
Problems,
language.
definitely.
Calm down, easy, take a deep breath. It's not, but here in Brazil, we have a big problem regarding that. There are some, I'm not going to say bad educators, but people who, some teachers that they learned a pathway to sell a course. And they sell courses that promise that you are going to be fluent in 3 months, four
Yes.
months. And people buy those courses, bunches, hundreds and thousands. And it's impossible to be fluent in 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
You are
It's
a
not
teacher
easy.
for how
Mm-hmm.
long? And you are
Of
still
course.
studying the language.
Definitely.
Sometimes you still get your books, your dictionaries, and you have to sit down and check everything you are doing. So that's I believe that is bad because it messes up with our egos a little bit, you know, it messes up with our self-esteem, the way we trust our jobs, and then we start
Mm-hmm.
questioning our abilities, and then we have to separate what is just a parent that is angry with something and dropped that on you, and what is a feedback that can actually make you grow. But
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
sometimes it's actually a little bit painful to hear the drama and everything else that that comes to your way. But we learn. We learn.
I see. Thank you very much about it. Thank you. This is nice experiences that you had. And share, of course, share with us here. Wonderful. Thank you, Milena.
Sure.
All right. So my next question is about, I know that you have also some experience about CLIL lessons again. So
Hmm.
what are the benefits of CLIL lessons? And my next question is again related with it. Is it easy to prepare CLIL plans for every lesson?
No, CLIL is not easy at all. It's demanding because you have to, when we work with CLIL, we are working with the two different words. We are merging two realities into one. We are not teaching a language. A language is the language is the means of instruction. It's a tool. It's not the content. The content is physics. The content is chemistry. The content is biology. That's the first thing that we need to set apart. I'm not teaching English. I'm teaching history. I'm teaching geography.
I see.
The language is the means of instruction. The benefits of it is that I'm taking the best of two worlds. I'm taking history, and the language comes with the benefits that I can reach an academic level on the language in the
Uh-huh.
easiest way possible by using it. Most of the times we only reach academic level of the language when we are actually sitting down and reading academic content, studying advanced grammar, which is way more difficult. When we
Mm-hmm.
create a physics lesson, a biology lesson, and the means of instruction is English, French, Italian, that goes according to
I
the
see.
language that you are working with, I'm bringing the best of two worlds together. And that's the difficult part. It's not easy.
I see.
It's not easy because you have to, when you are an English teacher for a very long time, you have to let go the need of the grammar class, the grammar lesson, the specificities of the language, because you are not teaching English. There are moments in a bilingual school that you are going to focus on grammar for the English language. There are moments that you are going to focus on vocabulary and working with these skills, but you don't do it in a way that it's usually done on the scenario of English as a second language or English as a foreign language. It's not easy. Your school, the entire group of teachers and professors, educators, coordinators, principal in the school, they need to talk the same language. Because here, I'm going to give Brazil as an example. We need two teachers for a CLIL lesson. We needed a history teacher and we needed a bilingual teacher working together. And that's the challenge because they have to talk the same language. They have to understand that English, but they're not going to understand anything. They're not going to be learning history. You have to rebuild the concepts first. No, they're going to learn history. We are teaching history together. I'm helping you with the language.
Yeah, definitely.
So easy? No, there are many things. You need to learn about beaks and calps. How do you move from the day-by-day language to the academic language? The language that is required for the content is different from the language that is required for the exercise. The language that is required for the explanation, you need to work with the scaffolding. Those are concepts that are not easy to grasp. You are not going to master CLIL with 2 lessons. You are going to make tons of mistakes because your group is going to be showing you, your class is going to be showing you what works and what does not work. Especially the higher the level, when we think about a high school, for example, that they have higher levels of chemistry, biology, there is way too many specific vocabulary. How you're going to work with that? Are you going to make a list? How do your students can be part of the process? How do you want to work with that class? Do you want to? Are you guys want to work like an Excel spreadsheet? Do you want to work with an app? Do you want to do like a list on a notebook? What do you want to do? Because it's too much new information just to explain one concept. So it's about details. There are way too many. So probably a teacher that works with a school that has the CLIL as the source of bilingual education, this teacher works only for this school. They don't have a lot of time for anything else. So demanding as it is, but it has way too many benefits. I believe it's one of the best way possibles for the bilingual education system.
Bilingual, I see. I understand. It's not easy to do that. But when you success about it, it's great to follow it.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Milena, about it. All right. So now let's move to another questions. I really wonder about it. Yes, Milena, can you tell us 5 adjectives that describe an effective language teacher?
Well, adaptable. Because we are in constant change. We need to adapt to everything that changes. Persistent.
Persistent.
Very persistent, because depending on the students, we are going to be taking a lot of time with them. Courageous. We needed to face all sorts of challenges. Adventurous. Because you need, and willing. I think we need to be willing to learn, first of all. Willing to learn.
I see. Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much for this great adjectives about effective language teachers. All right. Great. And thank you very much for them. And here is another question. This is also really interesting. What is the most interesting question you have been asked by a student in the classroom?
Do you have a job or you just teach?
This is nice.
It's a very common question asked us here in Brazil. Do you have a job or you just teach? What do you mean? Teaching is my job. No, teacher, like a job, a real job. And I'm like, yeah, teaching is my job. No, they see it as a hobby. I don't know why. but they ask us a lot.
It's nice. Great. All right. So let's move to other question. Here is it.
Sure.
What can you bring to a school or a working place that makes you unique?
Oh, I can say that I'm very resourceful. I like to create new things. Every week I'm bringing in, this month, I am having classes wearing costumes for my students all day long, and we are having challenges. I am a little bit of a sarcastic nerd. I am funny as hell. I like to laugh and make my students laugh a lot. And I adapt easily to all sorts of environment. If I have to go to school, it's fine. If I have to teach online, it's fine by me.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And here is the other question, and the defining one. And I really wonder what are you going to say about these questions. If you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help you?
I would love to say that I would like to read people's mind, but that would become boring with time. So I think I really was thinking about this superpower thing, and I was like, the omnilingualism, which is the superpower of the traveler, which is not a well-known superhero, but is the ability to understand all sorts of language, verbal and non-verbal communication with a glance. So if he hears something, he immediately learns that entire language like this. And if he sees the way you move, the way your eyes blink, he understands what you are trying to say. And I was like, that would be really resourceful in the classroom, because I can get my students' feelings and ideas, and I could learn all the languages because I'm a really language lover. And those, it would be cool.
Thank you. Cool. It's a really nice one. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
So
my next question is related to the students. And I really wonder also this one, what are you going to say about it? If you could make a new law for all the students in schools, what law would you make?
I was thinking, I don't like the word law because laws are meant to be break.
I see.
So I was like, how laws are meant to be break. We are always breaking rules.
Yeah, we love
just
to break
for the sake of it.
Right.
Laws for all the students use at school is that you have to give your teachers a chance, because most of the time they just don't. So give them a chance. And if you haven't tried at least 50 times, you didn't fail. You cannot say that you failed. If you haven't tried at least 50 times, you haven't done it. You haven't failed. They give up very easily these days. They do it once. They can't. I don't know this. I can't do this anymore. I'm never going to learn it. And it's like, you did it once. What the heck are you talking about? You have to do it 50 times. If after 50 times you haven't done it yet, okay, then we can give up. But before 50, that's not even conceivable, the idea of giving up.
Oh,
I would ask them to have that number in their heads.
That's wonderful. Wonderful one. Thank you very much about it. All right, so let's move to another question. So the people, there are lots of things. I'm sure that you have been reading a lot about ELT world. So what can you suggest us to read about ELT?
There are two books that I really love very much, which is the International Perspectives on Teaching the First Skills in ELT, which is a Joseph Siegel book. Amazing book. It's from 2018, I think, the new version of it. Pretty awesome, because we see in different views of writing, speaking, reading, listening, and how to unfold these four skills and combine them together. And the 21st century skills in the ELT classroom from Christopher Graham. It's like a guide for teacher, but in terms of seeing the ELT in this new era with so many technologies, with the possibility of online, hybrid, with different scenarios, because there are students that are going to be learning online for the rest of their lives. They just love it, the idea of the online. There are some that they just don't know. There are schools that are adopting both scenarios. So being adaptable is about understanding how to use all the skills that comes with the language in all the possible sources and all the possible ways in order to make students learn.
I see. Thank you very much for them. And is it possible to send me if you send me the name of
Sure,
the
sure,
book after the session, so I can share it
sure, of course,
with the audiences? Thank you
sure.
very much. Thank you very much. And so let's move to other questions. So, here, what a piece of advice would you like to give to the teachers who feel tired and a burnout because of distance education and a workload?
I believe that that happens because we teachers have that problem that we have like three hearts, and we give the three hearts to the students, to the school, to the curriculum. We buy the things that the students need when the school doesn't have, you know. So
Yeah.
we give everything that we have to them, and we forget that we also need a little bit of us. So it's about stopping, turning it off, and remembering that if I am not okay, my teaching is not going to be okay. I am going to be damaging the process that I have worked so hard to build. You cannot assess a student when you cannot even think. You are tired, so stop. Remember that you need to take some days for yourself, like Saturdays or Sundays. Take the days like actually off. Turn
Mm-hmm.
off computers, turn off your cell phone, do something that you love. If you love going to the beach, if you love books, sleeping late, Netflix, whatever that is, you
I
need
see.
to charge your batteries. We don't let the battery of
Mm-hmm.
our computers and cell phone die. Never. But we forget that we also need batteries. We need to charge ourselves, and not only with coffee. It's we need way
That,
more than coffee for that.
yeah, definitely.
So it's about taking an afternoon or the Sunday for you, for your family, for your children, for your dogs or cats or your plants or whatever is that is your bubble when you are outside of the teaching environment. And because if you don't do that, you will start damaging the process. Learning is not going to happen, and then you come out as a bad teacher when you are actually just tired. You are exhausted. You are not seeing the problems, so you can't solve the problems that you don't see.
I see.
So it's about uh, forgetting the rest of the world for some periods of time. Take some vacation on. And I know that's hard because even during my vacation, if I am at a bookstore, I'm like, oh, that book would be so cool for the classes on Monday. And that's going to be great and I'm on vacation. And I know most teachers do that. We are always
Yeah,
thinking about
definitely.
how we can do better. And we are always spending money with students and books and costumes and everything else. But it's about spending on you, investing on you. That's the best investment a teacher can make. If you are not okay, your teaching is not going to be okay. Your process is
I
going to be
agree.
damaged. It's not that you are a bad teacher. You are just exhausted. So the same way you take care of the battery of your phone, take care of your batteries, your energy.
I see. Thank you very much. It's really, I'm totally
Sure.
agree with you, Milena. Thank you for this nice
It's hard.
suggestion. Thank you. All right, just a couple questions left before ending our
Sure.
session. So time flies, you know. So let's move to the
Indeed.
other. Yeah. All right. So, what are your favorite three websites to suggest to use in teaching?
If you work with only language itself, not bilingual education, here in Brazil, we use a lot the Lingua House,
Mm-hmm.
the BBC website, and the English Club. They bring a bunch of not only ideas, but complete lessons that you can have as ideas, or you can download for free. So you can use and it can give, oh, I can do this with that video. So Lingua House, BBC now has changed some aspects of the site.
Uh-huh.
They have like 6 minutes podcasts, which work with longer listenings for students with academic
I
conversations.
see.
So if you don't know where do I start bringing academic stuff to the classroom, you can start with those listenings because you have the script on the website. You can download and create activities with that. And the English Club has games, especially if you teach children and teenager. Those are 3 very resourceful websites. They are very, very good.
Thank you very much. I will also share the web pages after the session. Here.
Sure.
Don't worry. Okay, then.
Don't worry.
And here is the last question. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
Okay, the most difficult question tonight. What is your motto?
Kick logic out and do the impossible. When we think too much, we do nothing.
I see. Thank you. It's nice. All right, then.
Thank
you.
Nice
motto. Thank you very much. All right. That's all my questions from my side.
And thank you.
Before we ending our live session, Milena, would you like to add anything else?
Just it was a pleasure to be here sharing all this knowledge and information with you guys. And of course, if any more questions come up, you can send me and I will answer happily those questions. What an honor to be part of this community and what a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you very much, Milena. And I would like to say one more time, thank you to become our guest tonight for Teacher Talk 71. And so it was really a pleasure to have you. And Milena Mignossi Ferreira was with us tonight, and she shared her knowledge and suggestions and lots of things, and especially the most important and precious one, time. She spent her time here with us from Brazil, of course. It's really incredible, thanks to technology.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again, one more time. And that's all from Teacher Talks tonight, and we are going to be here next week on Monday, at the same time, on the same day. Of course, if we face any technological difficulties, we will be here. And so, take care of yourselves wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Until next time, bye and peace. Bye-bye, Milena.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.